also released a national COVID-19 and signed 10 executive orders and other directives to move quickly to contain the crisis. Under the President signed today, and everything we do every day will be equity. Some highlights of those actions include an executive order to fill supply shortfalls for vaccinations, testing, and PPE. The President directed agencies to exercise all appropriate authorities, including the Defense Production Act, to accelerate manufacturing and delivering of supplies such as N95, masks, gowns, gloves, PCR swabs, test reagents, and necessary equipment and material for the vaccine. The President also signed a presidential memorandum to increase federal reimbursement to states and tribes for the cost of National Guard personnel, emergency supplies, and the personnel and equipment needed to create vaccination centers. An executive order that established a COVID-19 pandemic testing board to bring the full force of the federal government's expertise to expanding testing supply and increasing access to testing. An executive order to bolster access to COVID-19 treatments and clinical care, establishing a comprehensive and coordinated preclinical drug discovery and development program to allow therapeutics to be evaluated and developed in response to pandemic threats. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. There's a lot here. He also issued an executive order directing the Departments of Education and Health and Human Services to provide guidance on safe reopening and operating for schools, childcare providers, and institutions of higher education. An executive order on the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to immediately release clear guidance for employers to help keep workers safe from COVID-19 exposure. An executive order to require mask wearing in airports or certain modes of public transportation, including many trains, airplanes, maritime vessels, and intercity buses. And an executive order establishing a COVID-19 health equity task force, something we had previously announced, but making it official today, to provide specific recommendations to the President for allocating resources and funding in communities with inequities in COVID-19 outcomes by race, ethnicity, geography, disability, and other considerations. These steps, of course, build on the actions we announced yesterday. I had an additional update. Some of you may have seen this come out through late last night, but I wanted to share with you that as a result of one of the executive orders President Biden signed yesterday, the acting Homeland Security Secretary issued a memorandum to review and reset immigration enforcement priorities. For 100 days, beginning tomorrow, the Department of Homeland Security will pause removals for certain individuals. This pause will allow the administration to review and reset enforcement policies and ensure that resources are dedicated to the most pressing challenges and that we have a fair and effective enforcement system rooted in responsibly managing the border and protecting our national security and public safety. I had one other item I just wanted to flag for you about something the First Lady is up to. Let me see if I can find that, or I will circle back to it a little bit later. With that, I'm happy to take your questions. Zeke, why don't you kick us off?
Thanks, Jen. There was some reporting earlier today about the President's commitment to extending